Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, JC Soto. Today we have business consultant and coach, speaker, and also she is one of the Facebook Live pros, Ann Carden, CEO of AnnCardenCoaching.com. Welcome to the show, Ann.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you.
Now, Ann, I know you consult and you also coach businesses. And through AnnCardenConsulting.com, you help all kinds of businesses. What is it that you do that you help them, and what kind of clients do you usually help out?
Yes. So actually, JC, I have worked with probably over 38 different types of businesses in 38 different industries. I've been coaching for a lot of years, and I've worked with business owners from a photo booth company all the way up to contractors who are running multi-million-dollar businesses. So really the gamut but basically what I help them do is really make more money and get time and freedom back into their life and build a business into an asset that maybe they can sell someday.
Most business owners don't think that far in advance, thinking about, I'm going to sell my business. Either way, one way or the other, we're going to leave our business.
Absolutely. We exit one way or the other.
One way or
That's
the
right.
other, we're going to leave. So
we can't take it with us.
So when they come to talk to you and they want to hire you, what kind of fears they bring along with them?
Oh gosh. You know, there are different fears, and as we dig into their business and we really dive into things come up along the way. So if I'm working with a client for let's say 12 months or 24 months, they are going to experience different fears along the way. It could be everything from raising their prices to just recently working with a client. They were having issues with an employee that they kind of inherited when they bought the business. The person had been around for a long time. He really wasn't helpful in their business. He was a lot of stress and weight on their shoulders. He did a lot of things that were very undermining to the new owners, and he really wasn't on their team. And they tried, and we tried everything to kind of turn him around, and he wasn't willing to turn around, and they just wouldn't let him go, and they really needed to. I mean, he really was kind of a cancer in their business. You know, when you can't fix something like that, you've got to cut your losses. They were so afraid to make that decision. Because he had been around for so long, he was friends with all the other people that were on the team, that were part of the staff. They were afraid that he would actually take everyone with him if he left. That's a very real fear for a small business owner that literally can put them out of business instantly if they lost all of their staff, right? And so that was a real fear. And so we just had to get very proactive. As a consultant and a coach, when I'm working with these business owners, and I've been in business, I've been there, so I get it. I totally understand those fears. We have to get very proactive, and we have to say, okay, if this is a real fear, then let's get in front of it. And let's start looking for help before you let him go, so that you're not in that position. So you're not putting yourself or your business at risk. And so that's just an example of how I would help someone overcome a fear. There's always solutions to things, but sometimes you just have to talk things through with them and really work on their mindset about their business.
And mindset is a key that a lot of business owners don't think about, but a lot of business owners come into starting an enterprise. And sometimes they're good at doing what they do, but when they hit a roadblock, the mindset is not there to make it through, right?
Absolutely. That was one of the things that I found early on as I was building my businesses, is to have a success mindset, have a growth mindset. And when I first started, I had a growth mindset as far as growing my business, but not really as far as growing myself. And they're very different things. And so one of the things that I try to get my business owners, my entrepreneurs to do that I work with, is really start thinking bigger, having a mindset that's going to move them into the future. Sometimes I might recommend books to them, for them to read. And again, I try to coach them through a lot of those things that come up and really work on their mindset. But they need to take that step too, to have a growth mindset, because if they're going to be around for a long time, they have to do that. It's a huge part of building a successful business. More than people realize.
And it starts from the beginning. You have to have some kind of mindset of where you're going to go with your business. Is that correct?
That is correct. And again, a lot of people don't think like this. They, like you hit the nail on the head, JC. You said they get into business, they have a good skill, they have a good trade, maybe they buy a business. They don't really think about what that really looks like, 10 years down the road or even as an exit. They're just in there trying to keep their head above water, make a paycheck, create a living for themselves. And that's how most of them think. One of the things that I have to do is get them to think bigger, because if we don't think about what's the bigger picture for your business, I like to call this the top of the mountain view, where you're the boss and you're looking out and you've got the big vision. If you don't think about that, you probably are going to build your business in the wrong way. And that happens. And then people have to start back over. So I say start right or start over. So if you know where you're trying to go, every decision, everything that you're doing in your business can help you move in that direction, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel somewhere down the road.
And they have some also misconceptions, right? They have some kind of beliefs that when they come to talk to you looking for help, do they come with some misconceptions, some already established beliefs of what they're going to expect from you?
As far as my coaching or consulting, do you mean?
Yes, the coaching and the results that you can help them achieve.
Yes. Yes. So that's a really interesting point that you're making there. One thing that I am very, very clear about when we first talk about working together is I say, look, I'm not the magic bullet. I know a lot of stuff. I know how to get you big wins in your business. I know how to make you a lot of money in your business and get a lot of time back into your life and build your business into something you can sell someday or multiply or whatever that looks like. But you still have to do the work. You still have to implement. I'm your guide. I'm your advisor. I'm your partner for your success, but you still have to do the implementing. I don't go in there and do the work for them. So it's still, their success is still up to them. I can guide them and steer them and give them everything that they need from my standpoint. But at the end of the day, they're still the ones in there calling the shots, running the business and making the decisions.
I believe that. Now, talking about money, do a lot of business owners have a resistance to charging or making money in your experience?
Oh, yes. Again, this comes down to a mindset thing. I tell you what, it's very rare that I go into a business and we can't adjust their prices. A lot of business owners have been charging the same prices in their business for 2 or 3 or 4 years, yet costs go up, expenses go up, everything rises except their prices don't rise. And again, that's another fear. They're afraid they're going to lose out to their competition. They're afraid they're going to lose a lot of business. But when I actually show them the numbers, I show them the math, I say, look, if we raise your prices this much, you could afford to lose this many clients or customers and you'd still be ahead of the game. Sometimes just showing them the numbers, breaking it down for them and showing them how their fear is really kind of not valid, to be able to raise their prices. So that's one thing. Giving things away for free. That's another thing. Oh, they want to give to their customers and to their clients, and they want to be kind of the good old guy in business, right? But they're the ones suffering. They're the ones that are struggling to pay their bills. They're the ones that are, trying to move their business forward. And everything that they're doing, though it's admirable and it's honorable, it's not helping their business. And so we have to make those shifts in their prices and their profit margins, things like that.
And some of these business owners have been around for a long time. So they kind of, they're experts already in the industry. They're experts in their market. And they don't take advantage of that positioning because, some of these owners have been doing the marketing, the positioning for 20 years, and yet they're afraid to raise prices, even though they have the expertise to do that and prove it. Right?
Absolutely. No, you're really right about that. Again, I think people typically do undervalue themselves. There's not very many businesses that I go in and work in or help where they are not undervaluing really their skill set, what they do. A good example of this is, I worked with a business owner who had an auto repair shop, and he was so honest and just had integrity, just, oozing out of him. And he knew that he was more honest than the competition and all of those things, but he didn't know how to position himself in the marketplace to really validate that. You can't just say, oh, you can trust us. We're more trustworthy. We're more honest. We did actually build out an entire marketing strategy around a market dominating position around the fact that he was trustworthy and honest. So we didn't just say it in his marketing. We actually backed it up. We backed it up with more than 120 Google reviews to his website. We backed it up with testimonial videos from customers that had used his business. And we were able to build him up in the marketplace as not just the expert at what he does, but, being honest, not ripping people off, all of those things that we know are pain points with an auto repair shop. And as a result of that, his business absolutely exploded, because what's the pain point for everyone to go to an auto repair? They're afraid they're going to get ripped off, especially women, right? I'm a woman. So those are a lot of things that we have to do, but they undervalue themselves really in the marketplace.
And they're afraid to let people know that they have the social proof. They have testimonials. They have people that have been following for years. And they're not afraid to leverage that. That's an asset that they can take and run with it, right?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. It is an asset to their business, whether they realize it or not. When they decide to exit, if they decide to sell that business, guess what? Those assets stay with the business. It doesn't matter that now it's under new ownership. It still is under the same name, right? So all of those testimonials and everything stay with the business. I know years ago when I sold health clubs, I helped thousands of people lose weight and get in shape. And we had multiple testimonials and, helping people lose hundreds of pounds or over 100 pounds. And I wasn't able to take those with me when I sold the business. They stayed with the business. It was a killer. But the fact is that was what was going to help them, solidify really the business and move it into the future. So yeah, it's an asset to a business. It's worth money, actually.
Yeah, it's worth a lot of money. Do you find that also they don't follow up, they don't stay in touch, they don't do any kind of follow-up campaigns typically?
Right. Yeah. One of my I call them my fast money strategies when I go into a business. The one thing I try to do when I go into a business is make them money fast. So I want them to not even feel the fees they're going to pay me. I want them to feel like, man, you are worth every penny I've paid, I'm paying you. And so my goal is always to make them a whole lot of money right out of the gate. And one of my fast strategies is I like to call it squeezing the money, or fast money, where we go in and we actually look at the opportunities that are already sitting inside of their business. This is kind of in the optimize phase of my scale method. And we want to look at the opportunities that are already sitting there. So sometimes that could be, yes, they're not following up in their sales process. They've got people sitting out there that they could be following up with to close deals with. They have people who have bought from them in the past that they haven't gone back and sold to for a very long time. They have people who have thought about buying from them and didn't, that they haven't gone back to and tried to sell to. They even have existing clients that they could sell more to, and they don't shake that tree. So they don't squeeze that money. And so those are some of the things that I look at when I go in. Okay, where can we make you some fast money? What's the low hanging fruit that you've got here in your business that, we can do? And also pricing and profits. Those are other areas where you can squeeze some money. If you can raise their prices right away, raise their profit margins right away, charge for things they weren't charging for. That's another fast money strategy. What aren't they charging for that they should be? I could tell you multiple stories about clients that I've gone in and worked with where they were giving things away for free that they should not have been giving away. They should have been charging good money. And when we were able to implement and charge for those things, it put a lot of money in their pocket in a very, very short amount of time. So that was probably more than you ask, but
no, but that's good info, because a lot of business owners they give away a lot of stuff for free, and they also participate in some of these websites where they discounted their prices tremendously, and still they only get a portion of the sale. And instead of looking for ways to leverage what they already have. Also, growing a business versus scaling up. people can tell the difference. And there's a big difference between between growing a business and scaling. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, I love to talk about this because scaling is my favorite thing. So one of the things that most small business owners do is they get on one path of growth. And I like to say it's the slow path. It's the most painful path, and it's the hamster wheel path. And it's all kind of based on volume, but more volume typically means more expense, more cost, and more time that they have to put into the business. And so the scale method is very different. Growth is basically you start out in your business, you market, you sell, you deliver. You market, you sell, you deliver. And most business owners stay on that path. They stay on that course. The problem with that is it is very slow. You're going to have an incline in the business. If you're doing the right things and you're treating customers right, your business is going to have natural growth, right? But the scale method is completely different. Scaling is about really, really fast leaps, more profitable with less time and less energy. And who doesn't want that, right? So it's about making those big, big financial leaps, but you're not giving up your life to do it. You're making higher profits doing it. It's more about innovating in a business. Even things like I talked about squeezing the money. That is a strategy to help people scale. If they don't optimize what they're already doing, they're missing out on money. Yet they're out there trying to market and get another client, make another sale, the same old thing, right? And they just stay on this hamster wheel, and they eventually just keep hitting a wall and keep hitting a wall, or they end up becoming a slave to their business. But the scale model is very different. You're looking for ways that you can innovate and make big, big leaps and do it so that you're not giving up you're actually getting freedom back into your life with this really scaling your business versus just traditional growth or conventional growth, that's what most business owners, they instinctively know to do that. That's what they know to do. They get in business, market, sell, deliver, right? This makes sense?
That's it. And you know what? With the internet, the way it is nowadays, joint ventures, affiliate marketing, there are a lot of opportunities out there to be able to scale with what you already have, right?
Absolutely. There are ways every business can scale. If you take a small business, a couple of my favorite strategies to help businesses scale really fast is business acquisition. So I have helped businesses actually buy out a competitor, and add to their business. I actually interviewed an IT owner at one time who had taken his business from $1 to $5 million in about a 3-year period, which is substantial. And then he was going to go to $25 million in 5 years. And he was doing it all through business acquisition. He was buying out the little guys that started an IT business, built up a client base. They're stressed out and overworked and underpaid. So he brought them on as employees. He bought their business, bought their client list, and he had a great employee because they were already owners and knew what they were doing. It was a brilliant strategy, but it took him, literally from, like I said, from 1 million to 25 million in about 5 years. So it is a strategy I love to help people use in their business as well, because it already comes with a ready-made team in most cases. They already have that client list. They already, a lot of times they'll have the website. They don't even have to change the business name a lot of times. They can just run it as a separate business, but it can all become under their corporation or under their LLC. And it's a fast growth strategy, but it's a strategy that can give them really great leaps without having to do all the groundwork. Yes, you have some work on obviously getting that business. But a lot of business owners don't think they can do this. And one of the things that I teach them is, look, when somebody's ready to exit their business, they are flexible. You can buy that business. And so a lot of times I can help them acquire that business where the owner will finance it, or they can make payments. There are all kinds of ways you can do this. And so small business owners should not discount that. They should look at that as a scale strategy in their business. So that's one I love. I also love the high ticket business model. And I know, JC, we've known each other for a while now. We're working on a book. And so you know that I'm a high ticket person, but any business can do this. Take a plumbing company, for example, who they sell hot water heaters. They install hot water heaters. Well, a hot water heater is about a $2,000 sale. What if they put a campaign behind that? What if they started putting a push behind that and became known as the company that if you want hot water heaters, that's who you go to. They're the company you go to. And now instead of a $300 toilet, they're selling a $2,000 hot water heater that's typically very high profit. So any business can do this. Any business can come up with a high ticket offer or put a push behind something high ticket, and their business can grow leaps and bounds just with that one strategy alone. So those are my two favorite. I've got multiples, but those are my two favorite that I love.
Do you find in your experience that people, they do the opposite? They want to start with the cheapest, lowest item in the totem pole, and they make it harder on themselves?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is not uncommon at all for small business owners to get, I say they try to sort of follow the industry standard. So I'm an IT consultant. I'm going to go out and sell my IT services for laptops, right? I want to sell you security for your laptop so you don't get viruses and things like that. That's a $100 sale or a $75 sale or a $50 sale. Versus I want to go out and find those big clients who are going to pay me $10,000 a month to run their IT networking, right? And so I have to do this a lot of times when I work with a business. It's like, look, you're doing business the hard way. You're trying to go volume versus let's get higher amounts of money with less time, less staff, less cost, less everything. And less stress, absolutely. And they don't think this way. And again, it's thinking outside the box a little bit. And they just kind of do, I think, again, they kind of get on this path of, they feel like it's easier. I think that's the thing. They feel like it's easier to make that low sale. The problem with volume businesses is they are always going to keep you somewhat underpaid. They are always going to keep you cash flow stressed. They are always going to keep you having to add to your team, having to add to your expenses. And again, this is traditional growth that most business owners do versus looking for ways to innovate, get creative, and start making bigger leaps that take less out of them and less out of their business. A good example, I'll give you kind of something that years ago when I first started. Do we have time?
Yeah, we have plenty of time. Yes.
Okay. Years ago, when I first started coaching and consulting, I worked with some very small business owners just to get my feet wet, right? I want to make sure that I can get these people results and I can help them. And I worked with a company who was focused on the wedding industry, and it was a photo booth company. I'm just going to say it. So they did photo booths and they were working in the wedding industry. But if you think about it, they're very limited on how many days they can actually do business, right? Probably Saturday. So every time they got more business, every time they were growing, they had to spend tens of thousands of dollars to add a new van, to add more equipment, to add another employee. So that was their growth method. And they stayed in that for umpteen years. I don't even know how many years they did that same business model, trying to grow out their wedding business. Well, when I started working with them, I always do a deep dive and we look for opportunities. And I discovered that over on this other side of their business, they had a couple of corporate accounts and they were doing their photo booths for corporate events, but they hadn't really focused on that. They hadn't really maximized that. Well, think about it. Corporate events could be 7 days a week, right? And you can get paid more money than you can for an individual who's, already got a lot of wedding expense and things like that. So when we broke down the numbers and we actually looked at the math, it wouldn't have cost them any money at all to build out the other side of their business where they kept hitting the wall on the other side and they kept staying cash poor. They actually were missing out on about $500,000 opportunity by building out the corporate side of their business. And they were just floored. They hadn't even thought about it. And this is what happens in businesses a lot. They don't even think there's a better way. There's a better way to do business, to build their business. Now, they didn't have to give up the wedding side. they already had that going. It was doing very well. But by shifting their focus, they rapidly could grow their revenue. They could have a more stable base. And here's the thing. People only get married once, right? Corporates do events time and time and time and time again. So those are repeat customers. So it really is unlimited to the amount of money that could generate for their business, but they hadn't even thought about it.
You find a lot of resistance when you tell them, look at this. This is right here for you. Do you find that people don't believe it, don't think that it's possible to get to that point and get that part of the business going?
Yeah, sometimes. And I think a lot of times it's just overwhelmed. They're trying to see, how would we do that? And they're trying to automatically figure out every moving part. And so it's very overwhelming. It's not that what you're telling them, it's not believable. They can see the math. They're smart people, right? They can say, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. But in their mind, their brain is spinning and they're like, I have no clue how to go after corporate and how to build out this side of my business, which is what I help them do as a consultant. Let's go capture this. Let's put the strategy behind this. Let's make this happen. If it's something you want to do in your business. So, but yes, and I think it's just because they overwhelm themselves. They try to figure all the pieces out. And that's the value, not to sit here and sell myself, but truthfully, that is the value of a coach or a consultant. They can help you through those processes where number one, we can uncover them. We can uncover those opportunities, but then we can help you implement what you need to make those things a reality. So
you're right. Any type of coach will look at what do we have here that we can work with? What's the potential that we're not looking at? And I think that's what you are helping them with. Because when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to see it. It's hard to get going, especially when you're under pressure every day to make a buck. And it's hard
Absolutely.
to step away to do something different because you're kind of afraid that, okay, the buck that I'm making now, at least I know I'm going to make it. But yet the opportunity to make a lot more is there. And sometimes business owners are kind of afraid to step away from what they already know every day.
Yeah, I have to tell you, business owners stand in their way a lot. Which is why they need a coach or a consultant, quite honestly, to talk them off the ledge, to help them move forward, to help them get over their fear, because their fear stops them a lot. And they're so afraid of making a mistake. But, the thing is, when you work with someone who is a professional, who's been there, who's basically seen it all, we're pretty sure about what we're telling them will work. And we're pretty confident about what we're helping them do. And so if they're going to hire someone, they need to trust that person. Hopefully they've done their homework. They've researched that person, but they need to trust that that person has their back, that person, when I work with an owner, I truly, truly care as much about their business as if it was my own. In fact, my husband will tell you, too much so. I worry about them and I stress about them. And, and it's just, it is part of me. I can't separate the two. I truly care about the people I work with. I want their success. And it goes even deeper than I want to be a successful coach. Of course, I want to be a successful coach or consultant, but I truly care about them because I've been where they are. I get it. It's hard. It's hard building a business. It is scary, when you're trying to work through a lot of fear and a lot of different things. Now, I have to say I wasn't a real fearful business owner. I was always very cutting edge. I was always looking for opportunities. I was always looking to step out and be ahead of the game, be ahead of the curve. That's kind of how I operate. But everyone isn't like that. And I get it. I get it. But when I would make big investments, it was scary. When I would expand my business and it would cost us, tens of thousands of dollars to make a change in the business, those things are scary. Those are very real fears. What if this doesn't work? I wish I would have had coaches and consultants when I was building my business. It would have been a game changer, but I didn't know anyone like me. So I had to do it the old fashioned way, like all on my own.
Yeah, be your own coach.
Yes, I had to be my own coach. Yeah. So
automation, do you find that some business owners automate too quickly and some of them, obviously, they wait too long to do it? Is that the case?
Yeah. So, automation is one of those things. It is a beautiful thing when it's leveraging your time. It is not a good thing when you are throwing money at stuff that isn't working, i.e. Facebook ads. Okay. If you haven't validated your process, if you don't really understand marketing, then that's not a good business strategy. So a lot of times those types of things they're trying to automate, but they don't really know what they're doing, and they're really burning up a lot of money. And that breaks my heart when I see stuff like that. So automation can be good if the owner knows enough of what needs to happen, and they educate themselves. That kind of brings me to a good point. One of the reasons why I call myself a business and marketing consultant, a lot of business coaches and consultants really aren't very good marketers. They know how to help you run a promotion or, run an ad or whatever. But I actually learned, I did a lot of studying and training and everything on marketing because through the years when I was building all of my businesses, JC, I can't tell you the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I burned up in marketing because I had no clue what I was doing. And I can just, as a small business owner, that is a huge hit to a small business. They can't afford that. They just can't afford it. And so at some point, I used to tell my staff in some of my businesses, you know what? We ran that ad in the newspaper. Back then we, did stuff like that. We didn't have all the online stuff. And I said, I should have just thrown that money in the trash can and threw a match to it because I just burned it up. And so at some point I got smart or smarter. And I said, I need to learn how to market. I need to go study this. I need to really learn. And I started studying under people like, Dan Kennedy was a huge mentor. Anyone that's in the online space understands Dan Kennedy, right? And I started really looking at mentors and people, and I started investing in programs and training and all of those kinds of things. And through that process, I became really good at marketing. And I've been able to help people have amazing results in their business by fixing their marketing. And even a lot of times when I go in and work with a business, we will cut their marketing off until we fix stuff inside their business and make more money inside their business. And then now let's fix your marketing, or we'll fix their marketing to get a bigger return on what they're already spending. So that is a benefit that I can provide to people that a lot of business coaches and consultants, aren't good at. They're good either on the business side or they're good on the marketing side, but not always both.
And, it's tragic. I'll call it tragic that a business owner, they're good at what they do. They're good at their craft, but they're really bad at doing the marketing. When I was in business, I had also, like you, I had a store. And at that time, eBay was coming onto the scene. So I had to learn eBay, and the phone book was still strong back then.
Oh, yes, the good old yellow pages.
Oh, yeah, the yellow pages. They're trying to get you the $1,000 full-page ad. And
yes. Oh, I did a lot of that. Yes.
Yeah. So all those things were kind of what was common back then. But what you find out is that a lot of business owners, they copy everybody else. What a plumber is doing. Oh, I'm a plumber. I'm going to do what he's doing, even though I don't know what kind of results you're getting, but that's what I'm doing. So
actually, you make me think of a funny story. So when I owned one of my health clubs and one of my weight loss centers, so I was running two businesses at one time, and my competitor kept copying my ads. So if I came out with something in the newspaper, they came out with basically, they almost copied my ad, word for word. And it used to just make me so mad until I'm like, you know what? It got to be humorous because I was burning up my money, which meant they were burning up their money. And so I was like, well, how's that working for you? Because I don't know what I'm doing. You're copying me and you're doing the same dumb things, right? But that is what happens in business a lot. And I always tell people, do not follow your competition because they are probably failing miserably. You just think they know what they're doing, and it's just follow the leader. So it's kind of funny that you brought that up, but that is very true. And there is a marketing formula that works in advertising and things like that. But marketing strategy is what people need to learn, not tactics. Everyone knows how to do tactics. Run an ad, put up a website, get on social media. Those are all tactics. That is not the secret sauce to marketing, and business owners need to know. But you know what? They get into business. There's no law against not knowing how to market, right?
Fortunately.
And they, like me, they learn hundreds of thousands of dollars of burned up money later. Hey, maybe I should get good at this. Maybe, those hard lessons that we learn as we build our businesses, right?
Yeah. And, speaking of Dan Kennedy, he was one of the proponents that you got to stand out. You got to do things differently than everybody else. You got to find a way to make yourself kind of the go-to person in that industry or market. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of industries today, that they don't look at that way. They keep copying and copy and paste.
That is one of the things that I look at when I go in and work with the business. So we try to help them establish a market dominating position or a unique selling proposition. And I have to tell you, some of the things that, another thing with marketing is, a lot of business owners don't track and measure their marketing. So they don't really know what's working, what's not working. That's one of the first things I help them do is let's put a track and measure system in place. Let's see what is working well, what's not working, what we need to cut, what we need to ramp up. And, I've been able to have some incredible results with business owners as a result. I'm thinking of actually one client that I went in to work with. It was a plumbing company, and they had sort of a track and measure system in place. He was a pretty good sized company, and he was spending about $150,000 a year in marketing, which, that's a lot for a small business. And, we were actually able, once we tracked and we saw where he was wasting money and what was working, we were able to make shifts and changes. We also positioned him in the marketplace very different from his competition. And he was already at the top of Google. So when people saw his website and he had a message that resonated with them and they're like, wow, I'm calling this person. And so he started actually getting, we were able to get him to a 2,200% return on every marketing dollar spent. And at the same time, in a 12-month period, we put $46,000 back into his bottom line that he didn't spend in marketing that he had spent the year before. And he doubled his business. Now, we did some other strategies in there to help him double his business, but his marketing was a huge, huge piece of that. We were able to make those shifts, and, a 2,200% return, who wouldn't do that all day long, right? I mean, that's why he was able to put so much money. He didn't have to spend as much money because he was getting a much better return, on his investment. So when people really learn how to market, they can get a lot of bang for their buck. People think marketing doesn't work. It does work if you know what you're doing and if you have a strategy versus just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
That's right. And you know what? SEO used to be the big thing years back. Just get to that first page. And a lot of businesses do that. They get to that first page, they don't get any leads, or when they get a lead and they go to the website's a mess. Mm-hmm. It is a shame. The website's probably from 2000. It's, it's outdated. Right. Some of the pictures are not displaying anymore. Do you find that that's also common with the clients that you see?
Yes. Yes. So here's the thing. One thing business owners don't realize is you have 3 seconds basically to grab somebody when they come to your website. So from the time they click on your website, you have 3 seconds to pull them in, 3 to 5 seconds. So if you already don't look different, if you already don't have a message that jumps out at them, if you don't have something that they can opt in for to get more information besides call us, or whatever, you are already losing business. And so here's the thing. You can spend money on Google ads and all of that. But yes, if someone gets to your website and it's a mess or you don't look any different, they're going to bounce to the next one. And this is what happens a lot. And so a lot of people burn up money in Google ads. However, if you have a great website, you're capturing leads when people are coming to that website, you're nurturing those leads, you're getting those people into your funnel. I mean, you are going to get so much bang for your buck. And if you can get people to say, wow, this is different. I help people create a message that's front and center right on their website. So the minute somebody comes to that website, they already look like a no-brainer option. And so those are all things that I look at. But yes, there are areas where business owners don't take, and sometimes they just don't know who to go to. They don't know who to trust. It's nice to have a high-end site, but if it's not bringing them any business, it doesn't make any difference.
So they don't have, a lot of them don't have any marketing fundamentals. They don't have any marketing
They don't understand strategic marketing at all. They understand web development or web design. It's funny when I've helped I can think of one of my clients a few years back that was a web developer. And when I helped him implement the strategies that I teach my business owners, his business went through the roof. I mean, now he had to add a team and his business just went crazy. He also got about 40 hours a week back into his life from his business, and his business just exploded and took off. And it was just these simple strategic things that he didn't understand. He hadn't learned. And it's just such a game changer. I think a lot of entrepreneurs understand marketing more than business owners. Business owners don't. So they have to want to take that step, and they think running an ad is going to be the end all be all. It's going to drive business, or they're all about building their brand. That's my favorite. Let me build my brand. Let me run this ad 45,000 times at $1,000 a pop. And eventually someone will get to know my name. That is not good marketing, right?
Someone will get to know my name. I don't know who, because
somebody.
that's tracking.
Right. So, I'm all about direct response marketing. It is about being able to capture your leads, being able to get people into your sales funnel, into your marketing funnel, into your ecosystem, and really be able to nurture and build that know, like, and trust, and build their brand, in a much faster way.
That's a term that's been around for a while, and a lot of people don't really apply it. And it's so important to apply direct response, because that's how you know how your marketing is doing, how your prospects are responding or not responding to your marketing.
Exactly. Or even just capture leads. So a good example of this is you put out an ad and you do some sort of a free download or some sort of a free giveaway. An example of this is I worked with a design company at one time. They did kitchen bath design. They were a high-end company. And, we put on their ads that they were running, we put a little download that people could go to a website and actually download all the things that they were going to have to actually remodel their kitchen or remodel their bathroom. So it was going to kind of walk them through the process to see basically how it was all going to work, everything that they were going to have to know. And so it was a guide to really help them through that process before they were ready to pick up the phone. But it was able to put those people on that clients list so they could stay in front of them, and now they could nurture that list. And when those people are ready to pick up the phone and call, that company has already built their brand with that client if they're doing things the right way. And so that person's going to call them, and sometimes it may not be for a year or 2 years, but if you don't do it, they're going to go to the first competitor that looks good, right?
That's right. Now, can you give my listeners 3 to 5 tips on how to start looking at their business, things that they can improve, maybe right away, maybe they can make a plan long term, but things that usually are neglected?
Yes, so definitely. And I think I mentioned maybe a few of them early on, but one thing that business owners don't do is they don't take the time to optimize their business. They don't take the time to look at the leaks in their business, the money they're leaking, even efficiencies. Cost of goods is another one. Let's say a contractor, right? They have material costs, and then they also have payroll for their help. And if their help is not efficient, let's say it takes them 5 times longer to do a job, that contractor probably has not estimated that job right. And so either they have to get their people to be more efficient, or they have to make sure that their estimates cover the additional time it's going to take that employee to get that job done. So a lot of times, again, it's pricing that's off, it's profitability that's off. Sometimes they just estimate things wrong. Those are some areas to look at. Follow up, you mentioned it earlier. Another area that people miss a lot of opportunity and a lot of business, and it can actually be a 30 to 50% revenue boost over 12 months, is an upsell, cross-sell, downsell strategy. So an upsell is like more of the same. So I'm a web developer. I have a premium website. I have a middle tier website, and then I have a bare bones website. So if I can't afford the, or you're trying to sell me the middle, try to sell me the premium, right? That's an upsell. If I can't afford the premium, how can you sell me something? So downsell. And that's a strategy that any business can implement, but most don't. They don't think to do it. They're already in front of the client. And so how can they make more sales? A cross sell is something additional that is related. So you go in to buy a suit and, they sell you the shirt and the tie and the shoes and the socks. Those are cross sells. Again, a lot of retailers are good about doing that, but a regular business owner isn't. And every business can implement this simple strategy to make this happen. A good example of this is we had one of the plumbing companies I worked with. Once we got everything rolling in their business and optimized their business, we were actually able to, when people did a service call, they actually did an inspection of the homeowner's plumbing to look for potential problems that could be coming up, maybe something that would have to be fixed in the future, something that was immediate. And as a result of that, and they were very honest about it, they weren't selling people something they didn't need, but by doing that service check, they were actually able to increase their sales substantially just with that simple thing. They were already in front of the customer. It took maybe 15 minutes of additional time, but no additional marketing cost. And they were actually able to grow their revenue. So looking for opportunities like that can be a game changer in a business. And where they're out there working so hard to market and sell and get a customer, they are already leaving a lot of money on the table.
And you're right. That's the easiest sell that you can make. If when somebody already trusts you,
yes,
show them additional benefits, additional options that you can do for them. Because
absolutely,
there's solutions that you're offering them. Something that can actually, like in the plumbing example, that might be something that can save me a lot of money in the future by doing an inspection today.
Yes, absolutely. And another area too is I talk about recurring revenue a lot. If a business can build recurring revenue into their business, it can be so incredibly helpful for their cash flow and for the stability of a company. And any business can do this. Again, it takes a little innovation. So think about a landscape company. Maybe they do hardscapes. Maybe they could either partner with a lawn care company or they could build out that facet of their business. And that's recurring revenue, right? That's where they are, they're going in and they're cutting those people's grass over and over and over again. And they're building that baseline revenue that they can just keep growing. Recurring revenue, I do it in my business. People pay me monthly. So if I bring in a new client, I add to my monthly base, right? And so a lot of social media managers do this, right? You pay me a monthly fee to run your social media accounts. And now every time they get a new client, they add on to their recurring revenue. But any business can do this. And again, sometimes it takes a little innovation. Think about a pool installer. I'm trying to come up with a lot of different kinds of businesses here that can sell the chemicals, that can sell the pool chemicals, that can be reoccurring revenue. I worked with a company one time that was selling vitamins. They had created their own vitamin for people that had bariatric surgery, and they put those people on reoccurring, shipment. So every month their vitamins automatically went out and they had built up a reoccurring revenue base, and it just exploded their business, and they were able to just keep growing and scaling their business. So that's another great strategy. And it's a very overlooked strategy in most businesses. Again, they think one way, one path, right?
Yes. And before we leave, let's talk about referrals, because that's another area that business owners miss. Asking for referrals, have a system of either rewarding somebody for bringing them referrals or just asking for somebody else that they can help. Is that your experience also?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here again, they get stuck in the weeds. I always say when you're playing the game, you can't see everything, right? As if you're sitting in the stands watching the game. And so they just don't think about a lot of these things. And let's face it, there's a lot of moving parts to all of these things. And it takes time to get all of these strategies in place. So you don't need to do them all. I tell people if you focus on one or two that are going to give you the biggest wins. But again, that low-hanging fruit, get referrals. How can you ask clients or customers? How can you reward them? Sometimes a simple dinner. One of the things, we can do when I go in and work with a business is we might shoot an email out to all of their database and say, by the way, if you know anyone that could use our services and they sign up for this or whatever, we'll send you out to dinner. Those are simple things that they're very low client acquisition, but it can increase sales dramatically. And here's the thing. they always assume, well, if people really liked me, if people really thought we did a great job, they would refer to me. People are busy.
Yeah.
They don't think like that. They just don't. They don't think about it. It's not that they wouldn't do it. It's that they don't think about it.
Yeah.
Once you're done, they move on and they go on with their life, right? I have to train people. Yes. So you have to ask. You have to ask for the referral. You have to ask for the recommendations. Also, JV partnerships is another area. I see this a lot. Businesses partner. They send a lot of referrals back and forth, but they never capitalize on the money. So, and I've struggled with this with business owners, especially if they're in some kind of a networking group. Yes. Where they're supposed to pass referrals. So they think because they're supposed to pass referrals, there shouldn't be any monetary exchange. And I'm like, you're actually missing out on a whole nother income stream here. Right. And plus, if you're paying me $500 for a referral, am I probably going to send you more? Yes, right? It's passive income. But again, they just don't think like that. They almost feel like, oh, well, it's bad to tell people I'll give them money if they send me referrals. Like it's not a good thing, right? Or it's bad to ask people if they'll give me money if I send them referrals. When really it's a very smart way to do business where everyone can share in the market.
And what's amazing is that they are willing to spend $300 on an ad that may not bring anybody in instead of spending $50 on someone that has a prospect, somebody that's really interested in that business.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So again, some of these things are mindset issues again that, we have to work through and sometimes, sometimes owners just won't do certain things. I mean, that's just the facts. Again, at the end of the day, they're calling the shots. I'm doing my best to guide them and move them in the right direction, but they have the ultimate say. And I always say that, you have the final decision. It's your business. I'm not in there running it.
And thank you for being with us here today. I really had a great time. We learned a lot from you. If people want to contact you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, AnnCardenCoaching.com, and I've got all kinds of free resources on there. They can download my Scale video series, which will show them how they can double or triple their business in 12 months. I get into the weeds with them, so I have a 4-step video series that shows my Scale method, and I have other resources on there as well. So they're welcome. They can also find me on Facebook. I have books on Amazon. So they can Google my name and find my books on Amazon. So there's no shortage, LinkedIn, no shortage of ways to find me.
And what's the name of your Facebook group?
My Facebook group is actually called Next Level Coaches, Experts, and Entrepreneurs. So we have a variety of people in there from coaches and consultants because I do work with them to help them build an expert business. But I also work with entrepreneurs and business owners to help them scale. So we have kind of a variety in there, but it's all about people that want to take their business to the next level. That's really the whole gist of the group.
Thank you. And to my listeners, all her links are going to be just below the recording. Ann Carden, thank you very much. That was a great interview. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. You're really busy. I've known you for a while now. I know how you always have something going. So thank you for coming.
JC, thank you for having me. This was awesome. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Until next time, this is JC Soto with Online Media 360. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.